Now, Cubans are voting to ratify a new National Assembly. This is a key step towards choosing the next president on the communist-run Caribbean island nation. 8 million Cubans are expected to turn out to ratify more than 600 candidates for an equal number of seats in the Assembly. The new members of the National Assembly will choose a successor to President RAUL Castro. The new president will be the first in almost 60 years from outside the Castro family.
Anyone who leads the country well, that's what's important. The main thing, that they lead well and that they look out for the good of Cuba.
So far, I don't know who will be the president of this country. Well, I think it could be Diaz-Canel. He looks like a good person up to now. Let's see about the rest.
Well, Dr. Helen Yaffe from Glasgow University joins me in the studio now. Thanks very much for coming in to speak to us. Could you start by clarifying the process around this weekend's election?
So the election today is part of a process which takes about 6-7 months of elections in Cuba that start at the street level. So it's a very grassroots election where anyone can be nominated. You can't actually nominate yourself. For elections to represent your local area, and then those elections go up to what they call the municipality. And from the municipality, then there are elections to the provincial assemblies, and today they are electing into the provincial assemblies and the National Assembly of People's Power, which is the highest decision-making or legislative body formally in Cuba.
But at the end of this process, which will last for 6 or 7 months, there will be a president of Cuba who is not a Castro.
That is correct. So the National Assembly will meet in April, just after the middle of April, and they will elect a Council of State, and then the President of the Council of State will be elected, who we refer to as the President of Cuba.
What's prompted this to take place, this shift, this change in leadership?
Well, biology is one thing. Obviously, you know, Fidel Castro has died. His brother is getting older, and RAUL came out a few years ago and said very clearly that we need to open up space for a younger generation, and they presented a set of reforms to political leadership, where in senior positions people should only be able to stand for 2 terms, and you had to be below a certain age in order to enter the higher rankings of leadership. So they are definitely making a concerted effort to rejuvenate the leadership in Cuba.
Who is the likely successor?
Well, as the Cuban that you interviewed on the street of Havana said, everyone suspects it will be the Vice President Miguel Diaz-Canel. He has been going around with RAUL in the last couple of years. He's been taking a more prominent position. He's been speaking more publicly and so on, but not to the extent that, say, Fidel Castro did. I think there is no one who will try and stand in the shoes or, you know, in the position of Fidel Castro in terms of that engagement that he had with the population. But Miguel Diaz-Canel is certainly been identified as a probable successor.
Very difficult to step into the shoes of Fidel Castro. We've seen even his own brother was unable to do that. How popular is Miguel Diaz in the country? How much support does he have? Because he's still, he's not a Castro, but he's still part of the establishment.
He is, and as you saw the Cubans saying there, you know, he seems like a decent guy. I mean, how well do they know him? I'm not so sure. The most significant thing, perhaps, about Diaz-Canel is that he was born after the revolution. So this is quite clearly a complete generational change, and that's very significant.
It is. Well, thank you very much for giving us some context around this. Dr. Helen Yaffe, appreciate you coming in.
Thank you.